25th, 2011. Clerk will call the roll, please.
Dobrat.
Here.
Lottie.
Here.
Jarvis.
Here.
Fowler.
Here.
Fernsler. Sedlacek.
Present.
Hanson.
Here.
Let the record show we have a quorum for a common council meeting. Will please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening to our audience here tonight and those at home. Next item on the agenda is the acceptance of the minutes of the regular meeting held January 11th, 2011. The chair will entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Lottie.
I would move we approve the minutes of January 11th, 2011 and dispense with the reading.
Second, Sedlacek.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Item 4 is the audience portion, where we ask people to sign in and tell us what's on your mind. Tonight we have no signees for the audience portion. Moving on, item 5, ordinances. 5A, an ordinance repealing and recreating section 15-1-17 fees of the building code of the city of Plymouth, Wisconsin. This is ordinance number 2, the second reading. I would stipulate that the ordinance is on file for public view at any time, and I would start the discussion off by comments from Director Jurgis and Attorney Fever, possibly. Director Jurgis?
I just have two brief comments. The one is that this is essentially the same ordinance from the last meeting, the first meeting in January. This does remove the fees from the ordinance and allows us to establish the fees by resolution. Attorney Fever, anything to add?
My only other comment is that I understand this has also been posted to the city website, if anyone is interested in viewing it that way.
And I think that's a good comment that we're trying this the first time around, I believe. Following the agenda on our website, the ordinances and resolutions will be available for people to look at and make comments if they so wish. I believe there's going to be a link to that of some kind. So if it doesn't work, let us know and we'll work on it harder. But in any event, that's where information in a PDF file will be, is my understanding, correct? Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Lottie.
I would move for adoption of ordinance number 2 and dispense with the reading since we have it on our website and it's available at City Hall.
Second, Alder Hanson.
We have a first and a second to approve ordinance number 2 as indicated. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Fowler.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Sedlacek.
Yes.
Fernsler.
Yes.
Lottie.
Yes.
Jarvis.
Yes.
Dobrat.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Item 6, resolutions. A resolution declaring official intent to reimburse expenditures from proceeds of borrowing. Again, I'll stipulate that this resolution is on file and can be viewed, and I'll ask Director Jurgis to give us a brief discussion on that.
This is related to the Sargento Development Agreement. As you may recall, the development agreement spells out that a $400,000 incentive payment is due to Sargento upon pulling building permits. Building permits have been pulled, and as a result, the $400,000 technically is due within 30 days. What we would be doing at this point in time is advancing funds from the utility to TID 6. That payment would then be made to Sargento, and then a later taxable bond issue that would be packaged together with the WRS refinancing debt and the DFA project. When that debt is issued, then the $400,000 would be reimbursed to the utility. In addition, the resolution outlines that the total projects of TIF 6 total approximately $2.5 million. This would allow us to begin some of those projects at any point in time here, and then in the future, when we borrow tax-exempt debt, we could reimburse the utility at that point in time. So that is what the resolution allows us to do.
Thank you, Director Yergis. Chair will entertain a motion to approve Resolution 3. Alderperson Fowler, I have to get that in my vocabulary.
I know this might sound negative, but suppose 5 years down the road, Conagra or Kraft offers Sargento $5 billion for their business, and they walk and take their business to Illinois. What happens to TID 6? We eat this for 15 more years, right?
There's still an asset there, a building.
A building. We have lots of buildings.
Correct.
Shouldn't we have a
Mr.
guarantee written and signed by Sargento that we would be reimbursed like $5 million if that should happen and they vacate that building?
I can certainly ask Attorney Fieber to comment on the development agreement, but the development agreement establishes a minimum floor of assessed value of that property for the TIF district, and so the tax increment off of that property goes back to TIF 6 regardless of whether there's a business in there or not, because there's a taxable asset, the corporate headquarters building within TIF 6, and so whether the business is there or not, that property will still be taxed.
And I do believe the DA stipulates that until the developer's agreement is, or until the TIF is closed, that payment would continue to be in effect until the TIF is closed. Thereby, we wouldn't close it early until the projects are done and paid for, but the revenue to pay for those projects comes from that tax reimbursement. So whether it's occupied or unoccupied, it's going to have the same assessed value guaranteed in the DA to, in essence, I think, give us what you're asking here.
Well, if it's not occupied, we've lost a lot of jobs, so we've lost a lot of revenue.
Well,
Yeah,
there's
so I
truth
think-
to that, but we still get the tax payment based on the DA. I'm sorry, people in the audience, developers agreement. I should have explained that.
The revenue isn't based on the number of jobs. It's based on the taxable asset, the building.
Valuation.
So whether there's 300 more jobs or 200 less jobs, that has no impact on the amount of revenue we have.
And I can confirm that those two summaries are correct. There is a floor that's been established by the development agreement. So, in essence, Sargento has done exactly what you would like them to do in guaranteeing that there's going to be some revenue generated from that building for the years to come.
Unless we close the TIF out, which then relieves that portion. So I think in a roundabout way, and of course, you know, you not being an alderman during those discussions, and they were pretty intense. We did a lot of legalese and legal ors in there, but I think that maybe summarizes some of the. We tried to circle the wagon rather adequately.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a very good question. Any other comments? We have a first and a second?
No.
Oh, okay, that's right. We just started with the director. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the first resolution, number 3, as stipulated.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second, Sedlacek.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Alderman Lottie.
Are we doing this stipulating, waiving the reading of it, or are we gonna read it? Because that wasn't determined yet, which way we're going there. If the motion is gonna say stipulating that we don't read it, fine, but then I would ask the
I think when I first started, I said that it's stipulated it's on file. So I guess that was the intent.
But you didn't make the motion.
Is the motion following that intent?
I guess the ordinance doesn't specifically say that we have to read the entire resolution in its entirety. The same thing with the ordinances. And past practice has been to read every single word, but we're not required to. And I believe that any alderperson, upon the request of the city clerk, would then trigger the city clerk needing to read that ordinance or resolution. But we're not required to read it word for word. So, but past
if
practice
a
has been we
alderperson
have.
wants it read, it'll be read.
Right, okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Clerk will call the roll.
Dobrox.
Yes.
Jarvis.
No.
Lottie.
Yes,
Fowler.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Sedlacek.
Yes.
Fernsler.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Item B, a resolution authorizing the transfer of funds from Plymouth Utilities to TID number 6 for 2010 administrative expenses. Again, I'll stipulate that this is on file and ask that we stipulate not reading the actual resolution. I will ask Director Jurgis to start the discussion off, and then we'll entertain a motion to go further. Director?
As most of you know, we had Ellers and Associates perform the duties of the TIF creation process. In addition, we have incurred legal fees related to the establishment of TID 6 and the developers agreement. All of those costs are eligible TIF costs. And so the idea was to advance funds from the utility to TIF 6 to cover the initial costs of the setup of TIF 6, and on an annual basis, any shortfall that the utility would advance TIF 6 until there's sufficient increment generated to cover those costs, and then at that time, TID 6 would reimburse the utilities. And so what we did here was we set up a formal resolution for the 2010 expenses, and then instead of just having a motion and a second and approval for the council to just say that the utilities will advance funds to TID 6 until there's sufficient revenue, instead of just making it open-ended, on an annual basis, we would do a resolution identifying what the current shortfall is, and then keep track of that through a resolution and have that approved toward the end of the year, and then TID 6 would reimburse the utility as increment is available. Keep in mind that if it's built in 2012, it'll be put on the assessment roll for January 1, 2012, and then it's essentially a 2013 tax bill is when we would first get the any increment off of this project. So there will be a delay until increment comes in. So that's the explanation.
Thank you. Chair will entertain a motion to approve resolution number 4, stipulating that it is on file and available.
So moved.
second, Alder Lottie.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Hanson.
Yes.
Jarvis.
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
Sedlacek.
Yes.
Lottie.
Yes,
Fernsler.
Yes.
Dobrox.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on, resolution item C, a resolution creating the building code fee schedule. Again, stipulating that that resolution is on file and available, and I'll ask Director Jurgis to summarize that for us.
This is the resolution that goes with the ordinance 15-117 that was just approved tonight. It lays out the fees for building code, and then on an annual basis or every other year, this fee schedule would get reviewed either during the budget process or some point through the year, most likely through the Finance Committee. So this resolution goes with the ordinance. I have nothing else to add.
Thank you. Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
so move, Alder Lottie.
Second, Dobrox.
We have a first and a second to approve resolution number 5 as indicated. Stipulate that it is on file for review and on the website. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Dobratz.
Yes.
Lottie.
Yes,
Jarvis.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
Censler.
Yes.
Sedlacek.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Item 7, approve memorandum of understanding between Sheboygan County Human Service and the City of Plymouth Adult Community Center for the senior dining program to be in effect until the move to the Plymouth Intergenerational Center. I see Director Oleg is in the audience. I would ask Director Oleg to just give a short summary of what that memorandum means in English.
Okay, basically it means we're going to keep the same agreement that we've had with them all along, and that is that they pay us a stipend of $195 a month to operate their meal site program between the hours of 10 and 1 at the center. And it also states that there will be a 30-day out clause when we would terminate that contract. And they are expecting that, so we will be probably providing them with that first part of March.
Okay, thank you. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding.
So moved. Sedlacek. Second, Alder Hanson.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Item 8, approve purchase of 40 chairs from the Plymouth Intergenerational Coalition for the Plymouth Adult Community Center in the amount of $1,100. Again, I'll call in Director Oleg to give us a brief summary. We have an invoice that we can look at. Director?
Basically, I think we talked about this at our last city council meeting, that the Plymouth Intergenerational Coalition purchased chairs from Richard's Restaurant in Sheboygan Falls after the restaurant closed, and they had an auction. They got a really great deal on those chairs, and we have looked at those chairs. Members of my furniture committee have seen them and approved the fact that we would like to purchase 40 of those to be used in our area, and then also could be taken and used in the multi-purpose room for other events as well. I believe Badger Office City gave you a quote on what those chairs would cost if you purchase them right out from a supplier versus through the auction, which I believe they were at $27.50 a piece. So it does seem like a very good deal, and will certainly meet our needs.
Thank you. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the purchase of 40 chairs for the sum of $1,100.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second, Sedlacek.
We have a first and a second to approve the 40 chairs as indicated. Any discussion? Alderman Lottie.
one question. The funds for the purchase are coming out of the donated funds to the Adult Community Center?
Correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other question? Clerk will call the roll.
Censler.
Yes.
Dobratz.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Jarvis.
Yes.
Sedlacek.
Yes.
Lottie.
Yes,
Motion carried. Thank you. Item 9, approve promotion of Jim Peterson to the electrical superintendent of the Plymouth Utilities and establish an annual salary effective February 1st, 2011. This was recommended by the Personnel Committee on January 17th, 2011. The chair will entertain a motion to approve.
so move, Alder Lottie.
Second, Sedlacek.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Lottie.
Yes,
Sedlacek.
Yes.
Jarvis.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
Dobratz.
Yes.
Censler.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Mayor Pullman, I think we should state the exact salary in the motion.
I think that would probably be a good idea. First and second agree to stating the salary effective February 1st, 2011 of $83,228 prorated the remainder of 2011. Did I say that correct? Okay. So
I agree with that.
first and second agree to that?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Now we'll have the roll call. Did we already have the roll call?
We did.
We did have the roll
Hold
call.
on.
Congratulations and
job.
welcome.
Thought of it in the
Uh,
middle and I didn't.
Mr. Peterson. And we want to see you in a tuxedo next time. Thank you and welcome aboard. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Moving on, item 10. Consider claim against the city of Plymouth, against the city and Plymouth Utilities from Helen Dents Barta in the amount of $1,821.44. We want to stipulate that the claim is on file in the clerk's office, and I think I'll ask Clerk Huberty to read the man discussion and Attorney Feber's comments, and then we'll entertain a motion.
As the mayor stated, this is from Tom Mann of Sipnick Insurance. Attached is the report that I received from Frontier Adjusters. They have verified the damage and obtained an agreed price for the damage in the amount of $1,821.44. I would suggest that you attempt to settle this matter for the amount and send a release to the claimant. In addition, I would suggest that you issue payment to Frontier in the amount of $149 as per their invoice. Please send me copies of the settlement release and a copy of the payment to Frontier so he can credit these payments to this file. And I don't believe Attorney
We
Feber would like
can
to
ask Attorney
offer.
Feber to comment. I would ask for clarification. We are actually approving two amounts then, one in the amount of $1,821.44 and a separate amount for $149, correct?
Correct.
Okay, just so when we have the motion, we have both included in the motion. Attorney Feber?
And I don't really have anything to add to this. I wasn't asked to review the claim, so I received it in the agenda packet as well. But as I understand it, this isn't a situation where there is questionable liability, as I understand it. The Plymouth Utilities truck slid into an automobile, and no one is questioning who was at fault there. So,
Okay, thank you. Chair will entertain a motion to approve both amounts as indicated.
So move, Alderman Lottie.
Second, Sabacek.
We have a first and a second to approve the claims, one in the amount of $1,821.44 and one in the amount of $149 as indicated. Discussion? Alderman Sedlacek.
Do we need to have in the motion anything referring to the release?
That's just part of our normal paperwork.
Process, but you could stipulate if you want. Okay. Any other comments? Clerk will call the roll.
Fernsler,
Yes.
Dobrat,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Jarvis.
yes.
Sedlacek,
Yes.
Lottie.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Item 11, approved change of liquor license agent for Breakfast, Lunch, and Dinner Incorporated, doing business as Mill Street Grill, 506 East Mill Street, as indicated, previously approved by the chief. Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So move, Alderman Lottie.
Second, Alder Hanson.
We have a first and a second to approve the change of liquor license agent as indicated. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Item 12, approved 2010-2011 tavern operator licenses as indicated, previously approved by the chief. Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second, Alder Sabacek.
We have a first and a second to approve the 2010-11 tavern operator license listed previously approved by Chief Tauschek. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Item 13, utility reports. We have the manager's report for January 2011. Item B, list of vouchers, December 2010, authorized payment of December vouchers. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the list of vouchers for December 2010 and authorized payment of same.
So move, Alderman Lottie.
Second, Sabachi.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Jarvis,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Lottie,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Dobrat,
Yes.
Sedlacek,
Yes.
Bernsler.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Item C, collection statement, December 2010. Item D, uncollectible accounts for January 2011 in the amount of $3,145.67. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the uncollectible accounts for January 2011 in the amount of $3,145.67.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second, Alderman Lottie.
We have a first and a second to approve the uncollectible accounts for January 2011 in the amount of $3,145.67. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Lottie,
Yes.
Sedlacek,
Yes.
Jarvis,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Dobrat,
Yes.
Bernsler.
Motion carried. Thank you. Item 14, other business. Minutes acknowledged for filing. Park Board, October 18th and November 8th. TV 14, January 17th. Personnel Committee, January 17th. Finance Committee, January 18th. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second, Alderman Hanson.
We have a first and a second.